of this problem, but we're going to talk about that later. It's just kind of a lot of little points to know. To find the greatest common factor, basically the greatest means the highest number. Common means that they have in common. Right? And factor, we talked about earlier, is numbers that multiply to make that number. Okay, so we're looking for the greatest common factor that we can factor out of these equations that we're going to see. Okay, if you factor it out, it makes all the numbers smaller. Okay, the biggest number that you can divide out of all of them to make the numbers smaller. All right, so let's see, we're 8, we'll be on number 9. All right, we've got 5x plus 15y. All right, and that's our problem. We're going to factor out the greatest common factor. Yeah, you might remember it from Algebra 1. I know for a fact we learned it. All right, what you do is, look, we've got 5x and 15y. What you look at is, look at the numbers first. What's the biggest number that you can divide out of 5 and 15? All right, 5. 5 goes into both, right? So we'll pull a 5 out front. All right, what about x and y? All right. They're both different, right? So we have to leave those the same. So if we factor a 5 out, we divide 5 out from each one. Right. That would be 5 divided by 5 is 1, 1x. And what's left if we divide a 5 out of 15? All right. Think about it. What if you take a 5 out of 15? All right, if you divide 5 from 15, what's left? What's 15 divided by 5, y'all? I know one person is saying it, but I need more than one person to know what's 15 divided by 5. 3, right? 3. All right, 3y. So now the point of doing this is now I have really small numbers, 1x plus 3y. Okay, it's basically like doing the opposite of distributing. Okay, and to check it, you can distribute, right? If I distribute that, this is my answer. Right, but to check it, I can distribute. What's 5 times 1x? 5, right? 5x. 5 times 3y? 15y. Okay, and I get my solution. So basically, it's a backwards distribution problem. Now you're doing the opposite. You're basically starting from the end and saying what was out front. Okay, so let's do a couple more of these. We're at 10. Do another one. 5x squared plus 10x. And I got all these little marks from my paper from before bleeding through. All right, if we're finding the greatest common factor, first look at the numbers, 5 and 10. Okay, what's the biggest number that goes into 5 and 10? 5, right? So that's going to come out front. All right, what about, they both have x's, right? Right, they both have at least how many x's? 1, right? This has 1x, this has 2x's. So I can take 1x from both of them. So 5x is my greatest common factor. Also, this number is your GCF. The number that you factored out, that was your greatest common factor. The highest number that I could factor out of both. So once I take 5x out of both of these, if I take a 5 and 1x from here, what's left?
1 and 1x.
All right, just the 1x, right? 1x. If I take a 5 out of the 10, all right, a 2 is left, right? 10 divided by 5 is 2. And I took 1x away. There was only 1x to give. So what's left is 1x plus 2. Right? When you take, when you have variables, the lowest one, you're going to take them all, right? There's no x's left here. All right, so since we took the whole, as many as we could. All right, so there's my solution there. Right, and again, if I multiply it forward, 5x times 1x, I'll get 5x squared. And 5x times 2 would be 10x. All right, if I distribute it out, I'll get that number. All right, we've got 2 more. We'll do 2 more. Okay, number 11. Let's do 2x squared minus 10x plus 20. Right now there's 3 terms, 2x squared minus 10x plus 20. So we have to look at all 3 of them. What's the highest number you can factor out of all 3 of those? 2, right? 2. This is the only number there is, so it can't take a bigger number out of that. Right? And does every term have an x? Right? No. Okay, 20 doesn't have an x, so we can't pull an x out here. On this one, number 10, they both had x's. Right? So we were able to take an x. But since this one didn't have an x in both of them, we can only pull a 2 out. So if we take a 2, what's left here? X squared, right? If we divided negative 10 divided by 2, what's left? Right? Negative 5, because it's a negative, don't forget, negative 5x. And what about 20 divided by 2? 10. All right, and then again, if you want to check it, you can multiply 2 times x squared, 2x squared. 2 times negative 5x, negative 10x. 2 times 10, 20. Okay? GCF is pretty easy, but I think it's just kind of a weird thing to get used to doing. Anytime we have to do something backwards, I feel like it's something that is just weird to get used to. All right, let's do one more. This will be our last one. 6y cubed minus 18y squared plus 36y. All right, I want you to try this one on your own for me.